We're here at Kellie Miller Arts in Brighton, Church Street, and we've got an amazing exhibition at the moment. It's the works by Steve Fricker, which is here. He's here with us today. And the exhibition is called States of Being, and it's on until the 18th of August. And Steve and I have known each other probably since from 2017. We had a collection of his work around that time, and then we've been working together ever since. And I've always been in awe of Steve's work. I think his work is, we would describe him as a surreal painter. How would you best describe your work, Steve?
I've never given myself a label, actually. Okay. I mean, I'm quite happy for other people to give me a label, as long as it's not an unpleasant one. But yeah, I think surrealism does probably cover it. It's an easy kind of description, I think.
Yes. How did you respond to the exhibition title?
I think it's a good title because I just had this idea, this notion, not particularly brilliant, but that actually all art is an explanation or seeking an explanation of why we're here, what it's all about, what is this journey we're on, what does it mean?
Yes.
And so within that journey, we go through different things, different stages, different experiences, catastrophes, joy, all that stuff, and we try and make sense of it.
You talk a little bit about primal needs and myth in your work and ritual. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that as well?
Again, that's something I'm interested in because it's we take part in rituals. Rituals are kind of habits, aren't they? And they, I suppose they're partly inherited, but they're also our own idiosyncrasies. So rituals has a sort of slightly sort of religious sound to it, but it's not necessarily. I think it is a natural way of being, and it's also important. It does rituals give structure to our lives. And that also leads on to sort of looking for icons, which is another thing I've been interested in, sort of trying to, obviously in religions are full of icons, but even in a non-religious sense, we have objects become icons.
Yes.
Toys that we have in childhood take on a meaning.
Yeah, that brings me quite nicely into, there are quite a few objects in your works. And do you want to talk more about those objects?
We live in a material world, to quote somebody or other. And it's there, again, since childhood. And I think the reason I use toys quite a lot in my pictures is because they're the first thing that we imbue with sort of meaning. And again, they become icons, But we, as kids, we develop an emotional attachment to our toys, and that goes on into adulthood. We are addicted to acquiring stuff, and perhaps we don't imbue them with quite the same amount of emotion as we do when we're children. It's still there. The need is still there.
So you're collecting items, you're assembling them. How do you go about that? What's your starting point?
My starting point is from doodling.
Okay.
So I do a lot of doodling, sometimes actually sort of not looking at the page, because I discovered quite a long time ago actually that when you're on the phone or you're not concentrated and you're sort of doodling away, you're having a conversation, you look at us and say, oh, that's actually quite interesting. Rather than trying to compose a painting from scratch in a very kind of ordered, self-conscious way. And I found it actually taps into the subconscious.
Wow.
Okay.
And
And it actually kind of connects with the stuff you're thinking about or you've been dealing with anyway. And so I fill sketchbooks full of doodles, and some of them actually make sense in terms of sort of becoming the origins of a painting, having some kind of form. And some of them don't. Some of them are just kind of meaningless scribbles.
So just so I get this right, so you're using your subconscious to bring it to the conscious level, is that right?
Yeah.
So your starting point for a painting would be tapping into that, or working, flowing with that subconscious, looking at those sketches and those drawings, and then maybe drawing something out for something that was a composition for a painting.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, if I'm lucky, the doodle is really formed into quite a sort of visible, viable picture. And I just go straight from that onto the canvas, rather than doing sort of preparatory drawings.
So how do the objects then come included, or the objects already included in that doodle? How does that, because it's still that still life element coming in.
Yes, but in a way it's the opposite from doing a still life, because a still life you collect objects and put them together. But with these paintings, I mean, we can call them narrative paintings if you like, they come from a doodle. So then I would find a reference. I'll find, if I need an old toy boat, I'll either sort of find one or I'll find a picture of one. And that's the only actual kind of reference I have. The rest of it, figures, are normally just straight from my head. And so the figures, in some ways, are almost secondary to the object still. So there's still that element of still life.
Okay.
But it's the narrative, for want of a better word.
And in terms of the characters, there's several characters, but they're depicted in different ways. Some are faceless.
Yeah.
Some some are less approachable. How do you come about these figures? Some of them even look like yourself in a way. I don't know if that's intentional.
I think that's often the way, and it has been said before. But going back to the original question, the difference, I think I developed a way of simplifying figures because I used to draw pictures for the national press for quite a few years. And you'd have to come up with ideas very quickly, and in a way, because they were illustrating an idea or a concept, they had to be quite simple and quite direct.
And so the characters' faces, where do they come from? Are there memories, or just literally from your imagination?
Possibly, but I mean, probably the imagination is made up of memories.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't question a lot of it, because I don't think it's probably helpful.
Okay.
You know, I mean, from my point of view, to overanalyze, why am I drawing this like that? In fact, I don't like the why question in the studio, because once you start thinking, why am I doing this? That becomes problematic. You know.
But do you welcome conversations about your work? If
I do.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of conversations. You kind of, it's that thing you think, well, I didn't know I thought this. You know, even though, because, you know, it's in there. It's only when you start articulating it that it becomes crystallized.
What's really weird, because I'm wearing several hats, and what's coming to me is how I feel about my own work. And I often don't remember producing it after I've produced it, because I'm in that space of creativity, and then when I've stepped out of it, I don't remember it.
It's interesting, isn't it?
And it allows me to move to a different level with it and talk about my work. It sounds really weird, but talk about my work almost like as a third person.
Yeah.
Elements of what you're saying to me is very similar, is that you're engaging with that creative process and allowing yourself to immerse yourself in that. And that's the reason why you're not so questioning of it. It's not until you step out of that space is when the questions come.
I try to get to the studio every weekday, weekends not so much. So, but there's always other things. But I mean, 4 or 5 days a week.
Okay. And how do you deal, because you touched on it just now, how do you deal with that sort of creative block?
By accepting it. Because we've all beaten ourselves up over days where we're not producing anything. And there's been so many times, and I'm sure you felt this too, where you're on a roll, you've had a really good day, or in a couple of days, you think, well, tomorrow's going to be fantastic, I'm just going to you go on that day and you do absolutely nothing. And that's always going to be there, and I think just accept it.
Going back to this sense of symbolism in your paintings, you've painted in the piece of yours, Eternal Punishment of Regrets, the origami pieces. So tell me, what do they represent for you?
Well, it's kind of, in a way, it's a little bit to do with what we've been talking about, because whether you're creative or not, our lives are dominated by, and it ties in again with the title of the exhibition, States of Being. Our lives are dominated by our past, regrets, resentment, humiliating things, negative things. And the human condition is, I remember hearing an interview on the radio with a psychiatrist talking about one of his patients who said, why is it I can wake up in the morning feeling absolutely fantastic, but within about 10 minutes I just feel really rubbish. And the psychiatrist said, well, it's like we have this internal radio, and it's a constant negative dialogue, and you have to be able to say to yourself, turn it off, turn off the switch. And I think we all have this sort of natural proclivity towards negativity, and we are haunted by. We all wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about that argument you had with someone at a bus stop in 1973 or 1996. And then you think, well, actually, I'm the only person in the universe that's actually remembering this argument. It's madness, but we all do it. And that is the human condition. So getting back to that particular piece, it is the fact that we imprison ourselves. We make a prison for ourselves, which is, and the jailers, if you like, are these issues, are these problems, these mental problems, these issues from the past.
So essentially that particular piece is about decision making, would you say? Because it's like they've got it's got these origami birds with a tick and a cross on them.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, I'm interpreting it very much as you were saying about the sense of this cage. You've got this bird cage that is encasing those decisions. Is that, or limiting those decisions? How would you?
Well, I think the ticks and the cross thing is like you've made a decision.
Yeah.
So I did this, or I could have done that, but your decisions are there.
So why did you use the
origami?
Paper? Yeah.
I like painting paper.
Oh, okay.
I like painting origami.
And do you make them yourself, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Only the simple ones. I don't do anything complicated.
Yeah.
Because it becomes an object I can work from.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot my train
It's
of
about,
thought.
you said you like painting paper. So in a sense, you've got this paper, something flat, that you've then created an object, a three-dimensional object that you've then decided to paint.
And so as objects, that they're very fragile, aren't they? I mean, they're paper, and they're a representation of. I mean, I could have put an actual bird in the cage, but that wouldn't have worked. So using paper or using images of origami is it's a useful metaphor for all sorts of things.
I've been fascinated by your piece, the Consigli for the Broken, and I'd like you to tell me a little bit more about that piece, because it's got again another sort of Japanese connotation.
It's the idea, not unrelated to the piece we've been talking about, that actually it is possible to heal yourself, to not be imprisoned by regrets, and the whole idea that something that was once broken and is repaired is stronger. You are stronger than you were before, or that object it has more value.
Yeah,
you know, it's a lovely idea.
Just to tell a little bit more, Kintsugi is it's called the golden joinery, and it's a Japanese philosophy stroke process in which where ceramic items have broken and come back together through gluing it with glue and gold. So it highlights the beauty of the cracks, and it's about the beauty in imperfection. And Steve has made an amazing painting where there is a figure with a teapot on its head repairing itself. So we're talking about that fragility of life and that.
Yeah. Another state of being. We will have
That's
to find
right.
ways of recovering, not just physically, but
That's right.
things we're talking about, mental states of being. So and it's a beautiful idea, I think.
Yes. A lot of your paintings, just going back a little bit to the characters, are male. Is there any particular reason for that?
I used to get into trouble when I was working on newspapers. People writing, why have you used a male figure? But if I used a female figure at times, it would become a statement. So then I'd be, why have you used a female?
Oh.
So if I used like a hand,
okay,
casting a shadow, it'd be a male hand. But if it's a female hand, it would have another interpretation.
There's a significance of boats and flags in your works as well. Do you want to explain a little bit more about that? Are you able to understand a little bit more about the flags and boats?
Yeah, I mean, boats are fabulous shapes. And actually quite complex. I mean, even the simple hull of a boat is a really complex thing to draw and paint. I love old metal toys because they're best about and they age beautifully. And of course, boats are another metaphor of us sailing through life, through different stages of life. And flags, again, it's getting back to sort of iconography. You know, we love icons, we love flags. It gives, not just for nationalistic reasons, but it's a focal point for people to identify with for lots of other reasons, I think. I love painting flags in the same way I like painting paper.
Yeah. So are you finding yourselves responding to things in a social, economic and political climate? Or are you responding to paint, your paintings responding to more intimate discussions?
A bit of both. I think it's impossible not to be aware of the huge changes that are going on economically and politically. I mean, my work isn't issue-based, but or primarily, but in some ways it is. So, for example, Traveller's Tales, which again is about a journey.
It's another one of Steve's paintings, yeah.
But it's also about people travelling across the globe because they're having to for economic reasons. I don't deliberately avoid topical issues, but I'm more interested in the human condition.
Okay.
Within ourselves, if you like, rather than the sort of national or global experiences. But as I just said, it's hard to avoid at times.
And a lot of the painters have a soft focus going on. Can you talk more to us about why that sort of approach?
I think there are very few hard edges in nature, to be perfectly honest. I mean, we make things with hard edges. That's manufacturing. But actually, in nature itself, edges are blurred. And one of my favourite still life painters. Chardin, who's a French 18th century still life painter, and a lot of the other great still life painters. If you look at their paintings, they're not just a soft edge, but almost an aura coming off the objects. I mean, they reflect off each other, but even around them, there's this kind of slight sort of ghosting. But that's also true with portrait painters. You know, most of the classic paintings do not have hard edges, and that for that reason.
Yeah.
Because as I said, I don't think hard edges exist in nature.
Do you dream? A lot of your work has a dream-like quality to it. So we just wanted to ask you
I
whether
think
you
everybody dreams,
Yeah.
and that I actually very rarely remember my dreams. But with the knowledge that actually we spend a huge amount of our lives
sleeping,
asleep, and you know, there's a whole other reality going on. You know, not sort of this sort of construct that we have to adapt to live day by day. But yeah, I mean, I love the idea that there's just vast amounts of untapped resources or stories going on in our heads. You know, that's all of us.
It's lovely to have had Steve having a conversation today. And just a reminder that the exhibition will continue on until the 18th of August, so we'll love to welcome you here